3 weeks ago, I was standing by the grill in the backyard, flipping burgers under the soft afternoon sun, my mind preoccupied with whether I had enough beer for the guys. I had no idea that, at this simple gathering, I would hear something that would change my entire life. I'm Lawrence, 35 years old, married to Christina, 33, for 8 years. We don't have kids, though we've talked about it. I run my own construction crew, and she works as a real estate agent. We're just an average couple, nothing fancy, nothing spectacular, just trying to live decently. That day, Christina invited her friend Malene and a few neighboring couples over for the party. While I was manning the grill, I overheard Christina and Malene coming around the back of the house. The shed blocked the view so they couldn't see me, but I could hear every word through the cracked window. Last night was amazing. He gets me, ambitious like me. Unlike Lawrence, I can cheat as much as I want. He's too stupid to even notice. I told him I was going to a financial seminar, but really I was at a boutique hotel with Cade. Cade, the new agent from the rival office. Tall, expensive watch. I met him once at a neighborhood meeting. Malene giggled. Careful, though, men can be surprising. Christina scoffed. Not Lawrence. Trust me, I've got it all under control. I stood there, frozen by the grill, as the burger I was flipping burned and fell into the fire. 8 years. 8 years. And this is what she really thought of me? I didn't flip the table. I didn't throw a plate. I just laughed. A small laugh, then continued grilling burgers like the idiot she thought I was. And from that moment, I began making my plan. That very night, while Christina was laughing and chatting with her friends in the living room, I sat alone in the garage, opening my laptop. I'm not a tech genius, but I knew how to access the iCloud account we used together. She had no idea I still had the old password saved. Messages, photos, locations. It was all there. Photos from the hotel room, the one she said was for the seminar. Messages with Cade. Last night was crazy. I'll tell Lawrence tomorrow I'm busy with a client. I didn't feel angry. I felt clear-headed, like every cell in my body was working together, focused entirely on gathering the evidence. I started backing everything up. Photos, texts, location history, credit card receipts from the hotel, restaurant bills, even the receipt for the watch she bought Cade with our joint card. Christina had no idea. She came home still smiling, still kissing my cheek and telling me I was the best husband. I played my role. I even asked her about the seminar, about the new client named Cade. She didn't suspect a thing. She even bragged, he's investing in a chain of motels. I think we'll make a lot of money from this deal. I nodded. She called me stupid? Fine. I would become the most terrifying idiot she'd ever known. I shared everything with Bonnie, my younger sister. At first, she was furious, wanting to confront Christina right away. But when I explained the plan, Bonnie paused for a moment and then nodded. Okay, but don't let this consume you. You've got to live. Stay sharp. And that's exactly what I did. I lived each day with clear focus. Every time Christina lied, I made a note of it. Every message that popped up on the iPad, I screenshot it. Every credit card receipt she used to pay for meals with Cade, I saved it. I opened a separate bank account, transferring money slowly enough that she wouldn't notice. I placed a tiny camera in the living room, where she often whispered on the phone when she thought I wasn't home. I changed all the passwords for our emails, gradually reducing her access to everything financial. She was too busy or too self-satisfied to notice. I remained quiet, not a word, not a single tear. I just documented everything. I was the foolish husband, just as she thought. But I was also the one who had already planned the ending to the play she was writing. And that ending would come soon, very soon. A week after that party, Christina started acting. A bit over the top. She began treating me strangely well, cooking breakfast, buying the coffee I liked, even suggesting a picnic for the weekend. I just smiled and said, sounds great, but I still have those project plans to review. You and Malene go ahead. She pretended to be disappointed, but her eyes gleamed with relief. That night, I used her Amazon account on the iPad to order a tiny camera with audio recording. I placed it inside a plant pot in the bedroom, where I guess most of her private calls happen. Less than 2 days later, the camera captured a conversation she had on FaceTime with Cade. Her voice was sweet, her eyes dreamy, as she said, "Lawrence is so easy. I think I can convince him to sell the house and invest the money with you." I stood in the garage, headphones in, lips pressed tightly together. The house was jointly owned, but I knew she was trying to put pressure on me to force me to give up my share. The very next morning, I met with a lawyer, an old friend of Bonnie's. I told him everything, and he laughed. She picked the wrong guy to fool. We made a plan. I opened a new credit account, moved all assets into liquid forms, stored copies of all documents in a private drive. Bonnie helped me create a timeline of every affair she had, with photographic evidence attached. I even hired an acquaintance who used to be a private investigator to verify all of her upcoming seminars. I knew that this weekend, Christina and Cade would be staying at a five-star hotel out of town. She lied, saying she had a professional development seminar. I booked a room at the same hotel, not to catch her in the act, but to complete the file. I brought with me the entire printed file, photos, receipts, audio recordings, and the journal entries I had made over the past 3 weeks. At the front desk, I left an envelope for Cade, clearly marked with his name, requesting it only be given to him when he checked out. Inside was a copy of all the evidence, along with a handwritten note. "Congratulations, you picked the right person at the wrong time." I also sent a copy to the real estate office where Christina worked with a note, "Please verify the work schedule of your employee." The next morning, I woke up early, made myself an espresso, and opened my phone. Christina texted, "Baby, the seminar was amazing. I'll tell you about it later." I didn't reply. I just sent a text to my lawyer. "I've done my part. Your move." All the pieces were in place. Now I just had to nudge them and wait for the domino effect to fall into place. I'm not a hothead. I didn't need to see her crying and begging. I just needed the truth to come to light. That's the one thing a fool like me has always been good at: building and then dismantling things the right way, at the right time. Monday, 9 a.m. A call came in from Christina's office. I didn't answer, but I knew what it was about. At 11 a.m., my phone rang again. It was Bonnie. "Have you seen the emails?" I opened my inbox. 43 new messages. Christina, her lawyer, the real estate company, a few clients I'd never met, even Cade. Everyone knew. Cade got suspended. His wife posted a simple status on Facebook. "Thanks to the brave man who showed me the truth." Christina was called into the office for an urgent meeting. Malene went crazy, calling me 7 times in an hour. She must have just found out that Christina stabbed her in the back too. In the afternoon, I received an email. "Request for temporary mortgage payment deferral. Signed, Christina." I smiled. Yesterday, she was still living in her delusion of power. Today, she was facing her lawyer, her colleagues, and her neighbors. At 6 p.m., Christina came home. Her face was pale, her lips bare, eyes swollen from crying. I was sitting in the living room reading the newspaper. She stood frozen in the doorway. "Lawrence, you know everything, don't you?" I folded the newspaper and nodded. You did all of this." "No," I replied. "I just pulled back the curtain. The truth walked out on its own." She collapsed onto the couch. "Everyone has turned their back on me. I don't know where to go, what to do." I glanced at the clock. "You have 3 days to move out. I transferred ownership of the house to my name last week." She cried, screamed, begged. I didn't respond. I simply stood up and left her there, with the suitcase still half open. That night, I slept better than I had in a year. Tomorrow, I would start again, from scratch. But this time, there would be no more lies under my roof. 3 days passed since Christina received the first shock. I still didn't say anything else. She tried to play the victim, pacing around the house like a ghost, but she no longer cried. Maybe the tears were gone. Maybe she was plotting something. I didn't care. I withdrew money from the joint account, transferring it all to my personal savings account as advised by my lawyer. The house was now in my name, legally notarized. What she thought was joint property had been properly classified and narrowed down to 2 words: no longer. Christina tried to hold on by calling Bonnie, a huge mistake. My sister didn't show any mercy. "You should be thankful my brother didn't file criminal charges for financial abuse and defamation." That night, she came back in a panic. "I lost my job. The whole office knows. Everyone's avoiding me like I'm contagious. I stayed silent. She looked at me with hollow, dry, resentful eyes. Do you really want to destroy me that badly? I didn't answer. I simply handed her a piece of paper. The eviction notice to leave the house within 72 hours. It had been signed by the lawyer's office. Christina broke down. This time it was a real, desperate cry. No more acting. She sank to the floor, repeating, "We used to love each other, Lawrence. I really loved you." I raised my head to look at her, the woman who used to be my wife, the one I had trusted unconditionally, and said softly, "I was the one you called simple, foolish. I'm still that man. But you forgot one thing. A person who builds a house with their hands also knows how to tear it down. If someone dares to lay the foundation with lies." That night I left the house. It wasn't to hold on, but to finally let go. The last night I spent under the same roof as the person who betrayed me wasn't about trying to keep her. It was about closing the door on that chapter. The next morning I locked the door, left the key on the table, and sent the final message. Good luck finding happiness with someone who's not clear-headed enough to see who you really are. I walked away. The door closed behind me, marking the end of one chapter and the beginning of another, freer, truer, and without room for any more falsehoods. 3 weeks have passed since I left that old house, leaving behind everything I once thought was family. Now I live in a small apartment, not fancy but clean, quiet, and, most importantly, there's no dishonesty in the walls. I wake up every morning, make coffee, open the windows to let the sunshine in, and embrace a peace I never imagined. The peace of not having to pretend, not pretending to trust, not smiling at the person who was secretly sharing a bed with someone else. Christina moved out of the old house on schedule. Bonnie told me she's staying with her mother. The real estate company officially fired her for serious ethical violations. Clients have canceled contracts in droves, not wanting their names tied to the scandal. I don't follow her social media, but a few friends still send me screenshots. One cryptic post, "No one's perfect, but I still deserve to be loved." Below that, countless critical comments, including a sarcastic one. "Don't see the love, just see too many seminars." Cade went silent. He disappeared from social media. I heard his wife moved out and filed for divorce. Christina's attempts to blame him were useless. She thought she was holding the reins, only to find herself being dragged first when the whole scheme came crashing down. Christina's parents called me once. The apology sounded mechanical, probably just to appease family public opinion. I made it clear, I hope you pay more attention to your daughter than calling the one she betrayed. Then I hung up. I still keep in touch with Bonnie, my amazing sister who's never abandoned me. She still reminds me, don't let the anger pull you back toward Christina in any way. That past doesn't deserve even one more second of your time. I listen. Last week I started going out again, reconnecting with old friends. One of them introduced me to a woman named Ellie, a widow who works in interior design. We haven't gone on a date, just had coffee. But the conversation was real. No masks, no seminars. I know I'm still hurting, but at least I could smile, genuinely. I also met with my lawyer one last time to finalize the remaining paperwork. After months of working with me, the man finally said something. "I've seen a lot of affairs, but very few people handle them with the calmness and strategy you've shown." I didn't respond. I just thought of the man standing by the grill that day, the one who thought he was an idiot, and I smiled. Tonight, as I write these lines, I just received an email from the bank confirming that the loan for the renovation of the old house has been approved. Not for me, but for a young couple I recommended to the bank, asking them to help them buy the house from me at a discounted price. They have 2 kids and a little dog. They need a place to start a new journey. As for me, I'm not starting over. I'm continuing, stronger, clearer, and no longer compromising with betrayal. Someone once asked, "Don't you hate Christina?" I answered, "No." I'm grateful to her for showing me the truth. And sometimes the truth is the most brutal gift, but also the only antidote. Tomorrow I'll close my laptop, go to work, make coffee for my coworkers, and keep living, not for revenge, but because I deserve it. And Christina, if you're still following the people who were once witnesses to your life, Remember this. One day you might see my name in the news. Not for a scandal, but because people will respect my resilience. And that is how a man who was once seen as too simple to notice quietly toppled an entire world of lies built on his back. No shouting, no retaliation with anger, just the truth and an unwavering determination. I didn't choose to take revenge through pain. I chose to move forward better, stronger. Because sometimes the greatest revenge is becoming the version of yourself that the person who betrayed you can never reach. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, share the video, and leave a comment below. Your support is the greatest motivation for us to keep telling meaningful stories that touch the hearts of listeners. Thank you for listening. See you in the next story. Goodbye.